I want you to imagine that you're sitting on an airplane and you're about to embark on a long flight. To your surprise, the flight attendant gives you the option to choose who you'd like to sit next to. Here are your options. First, we have a person who is bald with multiple piercings. Second, we have a famous football player. And third, we have an ex-convict who had served 27 years in prison. After taking a brief poll of the audience, I found that a majority of you wanted to choose person number 2, the football player. Let's reveal who these people are now, shall we? Person number 1 was a cancer patient undergoing chemotherapy. Person number 2 was none other than O.J. Simpson. And person number 3 was Nelson Mandela. Now, I'm sure after telling you the descriptions in the beginning, you may have not expected these people to pop up on my screen. This is because our judgments, although effortless, can be highly inaccurate and prone to bias. This leads me to understand that as a society, we have a huge problem. We are so judgy. Although our judgments can sometimes be meaningless, they can also be meaningful and have high implications in the lives of others. This leads me to ask 2 questions. 1, why do we judge? And 2, how do we overcome the bias that comes with these judgments? In order to answer these 2 questions, we are going to follow the life of my friend Simon. So Simon's had a really rough day. In fact, he was just laid off from his job, which sucks. On his way home from work, though, he finds himself stuck in a traffic jam. This causes him to swear in a fit of rage. This is very unlike Simon. He doesn't usually swear, but the woman sitting behind him in traffic seems to think that that's just who he is as a person. She thinks to herself, okay, he must be very derogatory and vulgar if he's using this kind of language. In this situation, the woman behind him in traffic is using dispositional or personality explanations to understand his behavior. This is what's known as the fundamental attribution error, in which we use dispositional explanations to understand people's behavior. If this woman was to put herself in his shoes, she may be able to understand that, oh, it's maybe just the situation of the traffic jam and him being laid off that's causing him to swear in a fit of rage. This idea of putting yourself in someone else's shoes is easy for us to understand why we might act a certain way. We tend to use situational explanations to understand our own behavior. We know, okay, I'm not a derogatory person, and so it's just the situation that's causing me to act this way. This phenomena is known as the actor-observer bias, in which us as actors in our own world are able to understand that situations drive us to act a certain way, whereas when we observe others from an outsider perspective, we tend to see a behavior and just essentially believe that that is who they are as a person. Now, Simon comes home from work and relaxes by going on his favorite app to judge women, Tinder. As he's swiping through Tinder, he comes across a woman named Julia. She's 28, she enjoys a glass of wine, she loves to party, and sometimes she reads books for school. Immediately, he swipes left. Okay, no, I don't want to be associated with a woman who's unmotivated like that. No, thank you. What he doesn't know, though, is that Julia is actually in medical school, and she does the wine drinking and the partying when she is not studying for medical school. In this case, Simon has used the representativeness heuristic, in which he takes a prototype of a member from a larger community in order to make assumptions. It's easy to see someone partying and drinking wine and thinking they fit into the prototype of partier as opposed to medical student, and as a result, he swipes left. Could have been the love of his life. It's interesting to note, though, that judgments are influenced by culture. We don't judge the same way around the world. A study by Morrison Pang found that Olympians from America versus China attributed their success from an Olympian win to different things. So American athletes were more likely to attribute their success to their own successes. Oh, I'm just naturally a great athlete. Whereas Chinese athletes were more likely to thank their team for their success. Now, you're sitting here probably thinking, okay, I get it. We're very judgy. What can we do about this? So we can consciously acknowledge our biases in order to limit them. The next time you come to a quick judgment, I want you to sit back and think, okay, why have I come to this conclusion so quickly? If I was in this person's shoes, would I act this way? What's going on in the foreground? It's also important to surround yourself with diverse perspectives. People from different backgrounds and cultures may not think the same as you and will provide you with insightful perspectives in order to judge people more accurately in our lives. All in all, we are very judgy people because we use mental shortcuts to navigate through life. We tend to rely on dispositional explanations as opposed to situations, but this isn't the same for our own behavior. We use heuristics to understand the general world and the people living within it. And it's important to note that this is not the case for everyone around the world, and so we can override these biases. Now, let's think back to the plane. Who do you want to sit next to? Have your judgments changed? Think about this the next time you make a judgment call. Thank you.